Learn cybersecurity and focus technical training with justhacking.com, where all-star instructors and industry experts provide hands-on, affordable, and practical learning. Across courses, free upskill challenges, hack-along training videos, and capture the flag competitions, there's always something to hack. With new content twice a month, all throughout the year, plus bi-monthly live streams, you can sharpen your skills in our on-demand and interactive lab environments. Advance your career and level up, regardless of your experience or budget. Forget all the noise and get to Just Hacking. Sign up now at justhacking.com. Learn. It always sounds so good. I'm sorry. I really like playing it at the start. I think that's a fine intro. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to hang out. Look, welcome back to another Just Hacking training live stream. We got the chat going. I'm super glad to see everybody coming to hang out with us. Thank you again and again and again. And if you don't know, the spiel here, usually the rundown, the agenda, the outline is, hey, I'll do some announcements. I'll kind of, hey, give you the lay of the land, the sitch, what's up, what's happening in the Just Hacking world for us. And then we'll get on to the real show. And we've got our guest, Corey Macy, coming to join the party, and I'm so excited for that. But if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to, hey, get started. I will share my screen, fingers crossed, and then we will roll through things. So I'll hop over here to justhacking.com. Now, if you weren't tracking, if you aren't familiar, hey, this is the extra venture, the next extravaganza, little adventure that we've been going on to put out more training, more educational material, more cybersecurity love and support, and not strictly cybersecurity. We've gotten into some really cool stuff. We've done like what? Quantum computing, quantum security, satellite security, all this stuff that we are trying to help spread the word. And it's really a labor of love, but a dream team work with other incredible, cool people, because it's just shining the spotlight on other, hey, leaders in the industry to help share courses, for one thing, like you're used to for a typical schoolhouse, and then upskill challenges, which are free, completely free. Like there is no price tag on that. And then hack-alongs that'll include a video. Those are a little bit shorter alongside the upskill challenges. Those are very short, 10, 30 minutes, something small and digestible. Hack-alongs and our Capture the Flag archives. So look, yes, this conversation, what we are doing today, everything that we are getting to do for this live stream will be recorded. So if you'd like, you could check it out on this channel, the same John Heyman YouTube channel, or any of the VODs, things that are available, and it'll all be present, included in our events page. The events page, if you haven't seen it on the website, is just over in the vitals, little sub nav menu there. And look, you can see everything that we're up to, whether it's online or digital or in person. This will include the schedule of, hey, what we've been doing for live streams, and then today, us all hanging out together. But that will coincide with a lot of our releases, a lot of the new content, new training material that we put out and about. But the conferences, the live events that we go to, that's also included here, whether or not we're sponsoring, whether or not we'll have a presence, whether or not we can come hang out, shake hands, and we'll give away some t-shirts and tons of stickers. It's very, very cool. It's very very surreal to see all it kind of come to life. But May was super duper busy. We were kind of running all over the place for May. I'm glad to take a bit of a break because we are going to be prepping for DEF CON and Hacker Summer Camp. But if you are around, I think in the Boston area this Saturday, the Layer 8 conference is running, and we will be there to help support. We're sponsoring that event. If you are there, you may very well be able to win, I think, one of the sweet giveaways or training raffle lunch special things. Hey, some love to Michal Khan, one of the creators that we have there, who has been sharing a lot of awesome stuff for OSINT, open source intelligence. And you might have gone through a lot of the work that he's already shared. We have the whole bundle that has all of that available. And keep an eye on Michelle's stuff. Keep your ear to the ground because I think coming up soon, whether it's this weekend or whenever we've got some holiday coming up soon, we do have a sweet announcement. Not just for dads, not just for the fathers of the world. It will be for everyone, but hopefully some extra love and good support for everything that Michelle has been up to. Layer 8 conference will be a little bit more of that social, not to say social engineering, but investigations, work of the human intelligence, etc. And I think that's a fine segue and play there. So with that, some of the other cool things that we've been getting out the door this month, June, while it is June right now, is constructing defense. But you've heard me probably beat the drum for constructing defense a long time. Look, we wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to kind of rearrange it and structure it in a maybe another approachable way. Constructing defense light is the very same material and training and content and education as constructing defense that Anton Arutsky, who has been with us before, he's been on the live stream previously, he showcased some really cool demos, including a couple of free lessons that you can dig into. Condef Lite, Condef being the nickname, takes the lab environment, the giant virtual machine setup, the giant virtual event environment, machines, cloud instances, but lets you spin it up. It is automated with a little bit of Ludus. You've got some capability to do that, but that is a much more accessible and affordable entry point than I think pure OG original constructing defense. So I hope that is some good support for you, and I hope you're able to take a look at that. Again, I'm a huge fanboy for constructing defense. I said genuinely, it's just like one of the best ways to get into industry work because it's everything that you could very well do for more of a blue team work and purple team in all reality. Look at the giant lab that comes with it. It's so cool. Oh, I love seeing the chat. Hey, it's an awesome course. Anton is a great instructor. Thank you so much. Would agree. All right. If you wanted to dive into constructing defense light, that is available. But let me get on to the real star of the show for today, for this week's live stream. Bear in mind, when we get together again, and let me note, we will be hanging out with Matt E. Matt Ernschwender. He's over part of our Capture the Flag team. M Alpha. We've worked with him for years. He's an incredible genius fella. But we'll be doing some Capture the Flag stuff at that next live stream. But Corey, or Corgi is her handle, is an angel. She is awesome. She is the best. And I'm so excited that we get to hang out and chat for a little bit. She's put together previously a upskill challenge. So again, completely free, totally accessible. You can dive in. A little bit more of a lesson and layer discussing and telling you about phishing, how this all happens, what this all means. See some of the sites, a little bit of visuals to it. But upcoming, on the way, and I do have to add this disclaimer. I do want to make sure this is pretty clear. Should be releasing the technical course, the hands-on practical, hey, in the environment, get into action, do all the work course on phishing. But this will be releasing July 1st. So I want to make that known. We have it out and about because we wanted to do something special. So let me let you in on a little bit of a secret. We are making it for the first time. This is an experiment for us. Please let me know. Give me that feedback if this is good, bad, or ugly. We're doing a pre-sale, a pre-release. So, hey, and there's some fun with it. If you were interested in the full original Constructing Defense Lite, if you were interested in the whole Michal bundle, or if you want to check out my previous dark web and cybercrime courses, if you were willing to jump into the action now, while this is a name your price training, name your price offering, and bless her heart, Corey really wanted that. She was pushing for, hey, can we make this as accessible as possible? This is available only in the range of 10 to 50. While we'll offer 50 as the kind of price tag at the start, you could toggle that down, you can tweak that, you name your price to whatever you want. And then there's a chance, 3 winners there, 3 in this raffle. If you get it this month before it is released in July, once July hits, course is released, and we'll throw in for those winners one of these Constructing Defense Michal bundle or dark web course. So I hope that's fun. I hope that's cool. I hope that's neat. Hey, much more easier entryway to a lot of potential prize pool for a smaller tag. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I don't want to fall down the rabbit hole here because this is truly Corey's domain. But look at all the sweet stuff that we get to drill down into. I am so stoked about this course because I know that there are a lot of things that cover this sort of material. Phishing is oftentimes out and about there for security awareness training, which can be a very high level and fluffy. It can be oftentimes in just conversations. It can be just like things that folks talk about for cybersecurity, but we wanted to get really, really tactical. So this is super duper hands-on, getting into Evil Jinx, getting into GoFish, getting into device code campaigns in the Office 365 or Entra environments, and then a lot more of the infrastructure and evasion techniques. But I can't spill the beans too much. I do want to let Corey take it away. She is the star of the show. But bear in mind, she's going to be giving us a sneak peek, a little bit of a preview, letting us know what's up. And then while it's available now for pre-release, this thing will come out in July. Did I get all that right? Voice in the back of my head, production in my ear. Let me know. Cool. I'll stop sharing the screen and I'll ask now. Hey, Corey, are you with me? Are you ready? Are you good? You want to jump in? You're the best. Thank you so much. Hey, hey.
Hey, John. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, thank you for doing this thing. I think I've said it 1,000 times already before we kind of jumped on live, but I can't say it enough, and I'm just going to keep saying it. Thank you for all your support, all your contributions, everything you've been doing here with us.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is super special to me, actually, just working with you because my husband is like the biggest fan of yours. Probably like a few years ago, so my husband's a developer. He came to me, and I had never heard of you before, just because I'm not like a huge YouTube watcher, but my husband is. And he was like, "Do you know John Hammond? He's the best programmer in InfoSec."
No.
And I was like, I work in InfoSec.
I'm by no means the best programmer in InfoSec, not at all. But I'm very flattered. What an honor. Thank you so much. Well, hey, would you mind kind of filling in the gaps for anyone tuning in that just hasn't, I don't know, hasn't seen you around before, hasn't seen you across the internet airwaves, doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what you're up to. Who are you, Corey? What are you doing?
I'm Corey. People online probably know me better as Corgi, like the dog. I do a lot of community involvement out there in the community. I work with social engineering community, the DEF CON Village. I run B-Sides Nashville. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm also involved with NashSec, formerly DC615. So just always out there trying to share knowledge, get people into InfoSec, and kind of support them and help them as needed.
Well, you have been part, if I may, of the village at DEF CON and a lot of the social engineering work for quite some time now. Is that right? How did you kind of fall into this line of work, this occupation, this passion, really?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really cool story. So I always knew that I wanted to get into pen testing, really since I was like a teenager, and I found the DEF CON YouTube videos. And that was just a passion of mine. My dad is a programmer, so growing up was always like my dad makes it, I break it, as you do when you're a kid. So it was always a passion of mine, always wanted to get into it. And I eventually got into risk consultancy. Um, for the company that I'm at. And I just told them how interested I was in offensive security and pen testing. And probably about 4 or 5 years ago, they gave me the opportunity to move over. I started doing social engineering assessments. That's really how I got into it. And now I've been doing it for a while now.
That's awesome. Can you, within reason, right, fill me in on what does a social engineering assessment kind of consist of? Do you have a physical element? Is it all on the keyboard? Are you sending those lures, getting, I don't know, phishing emails out and about? Or what is it? What is it? What does you do?
Yeah, it's totally dependent, really, on a lot of different things. I hate to say that, but dependent on the client, right? So what industry they're in specifically. If we're working with healthcare, I'm based out of Nashville, so a lot of my clients are healthcare related. Um, trying to pull things like PHI from nurses or doctors or PHI through anything, calling helplines. Um, Sorry, it's really dependent on kind of the industry that you're working with, the client, and then of course the assessment type, right? If it's a standalone social engineering assessment and you're just trying to call into a help desk, reset employee passwords, or if it's in tandem with like an internal pen test, and so you're taking those user credentials and then you're trying to access their VPN or their Entra or Office accounts, and then kind of pivot from there.
That's awesome. Does the phone call angle really play a part? It's so easy for me to forget, like, hey, that's just kind of an easy route, an angle. It's just calling someone when you've got like all the stuff that we tend to run around with between phishing emails, the lures, inbox work, etc. But I'm like, oh, we can. It doesn't have to be that. Not to say high tech while it's on the computer, but it can be a phone call.
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably the easiest way to get in somewhere through social engineering is over the phone, right? Because that's an entirely human element. And it almost bypasses these like falsified restrictions that people have assigned to identifying social engineering. Um, I would say, like, the average user, when they get a phishing email or something, what they're looking for are flags like maybe non native English or AI generated text. But when you're calling in, I'm calling in as a 20-something-year-old woman and I'm saying, hey, I work with internal IT. I clearly have the same like cadence and tone as you. It becomes a lot more believable.
Yeah, I feel like you can, I don't know, really do enough homework, do enough reconnaissance, do enough like figuring it out. How do I lay the perfect pretense? And then it's just a matter of sealing the deal, selling it. So
Absolutely.
well, I don't know if you have a maybe cool, fun, sweet demo or anything up your sleeve, anything that we might be able to take a look at. If it comes together, that's a okay. If not, no worries. But and on the other end of that, if anyone in chat has any cool questions for you, for us, hey, please don't hesitate. Please drop those questions in here and there, and we can knock them out as they come through. Um, but what do you think? Do you have anything up your sleeve? Anything to show?
Cool. Yes, absolutely. I was planning this morning and I like got banned from SES. So I tried putting in a ticket like 2 hours ago, but they haven't responded. So it won't be completely what I had hoped, just because I didn't want to spin up, I spun up infrastructure for this, but I will share some.
Can you talk me through, hey, all the things that you either had in mind and then, oh, weren't quite there yet? Just because I think that grandiose vision and idea of like, oh, what we could do is still really cool as we get to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do that as I
Heck
kind of walk
yeah.
through this.
Super cool. If you need to share screen whenever you can, we're ready for you. Quick fun background, if I may. I was just over in the People's Call Center event, which was a cool little activity to get together with a lot of the like Scambait crew, the Scambait community, whether it's Jim Browning or Scammer Payback or Pierogi, right? And those folks do the Scambait work, which is interesting because it's to a certain extent a lot of social engineering and to a certain extent a little bit of phishing. Uh, but it's especially on the phone, you get the back and forth vishing, you get the back and forth voice conversations, and then seeing where that comes from. It's just cool to see it all tie together here. But all right, would you be willing to like zoom in? I'm so sorry, my blind 5-year-old eyes will. Excellent, all you.
Awesome. One thing I wanted to add to, just on top of that, it's interesting, and I know vishing is kind of outside of the scope of really what we're talking about today, but it's
Yeah,
interesting how frequently you can also bypass like technical controls through vishing. One really common thing I'll see with like huge corporations when I'm calling into them, like retail companies and things like that, they'll have lots of different internal helplines that you can call. And that's interesting. It's great for an attacker because you have this huge kind of pool of people that you can speak to. And so first, you never have to speak to the same person more than once. And then you can make all these like different weird requests, right? So to one internal line, you can say, hey, I need to reset my password. I'm so and so. And then literally 2 minutes later, you can call a different line and say, hey, I'm so and so, and I just got a new phone. I need to change the MFA on my account. So it's fun, especially with bigger organizations, and you have the capability to do something like that. in such a short amount of time.
All right. So, hey, we get to see a little bit of the course preview or sneak preview, whatever you're willing to share.
Oh, yeah. So I just wanted to kind of go through the contents of what the course has. So we'll do some like really it's the course is centered around configuring your own phishing campaigns. So we'll be using GoFish with Amazon SES, Amazon SMTP. We'll do things like recon and enumeration, which is one of the coolest things that I wanted to showcase today. As part of the course, there are these falsified companies that I've created, right? So you'll be able to go out as part of the course and go out to these domains, do your own reconnaissance as instructed, and identify employees at these companies, potential targets for your phishing campaigns. There will be flags within those for kind of the assessments between modules. And then craft great pretext based on the information that's out there. So this is one of the companies that's part of the course. It's called Third Ball Robotics. This is their main domain. And you'll see within this, there was a team button up here. So you see, right, there are employees that are listed at this company. You can kind of see the employee username formatting that you can use to aggregate into a potential list of users for this organization to target for phishing. And then there's more details about the organization itself, right? There's additional mailboxes, numbers, more information that you can use for reconnaissance, third-party companies that are associated with them. This is one of my favorite parts, kind of like these real labs that exist out on the internet for you to go find and do the actual work for yourself.
Yeah, I feel like a cool certain amount of scavenger hunt is, hey, what insight, what nugget, what things can I track down to add to your campaign?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so within the course, all of these things are tested. There are exams between some of the modules that ask you for so-and-so company, what employees did you identify? How many employees did you identify? What was their username formatting? And then we show you things like device code phishing, typical credential phishing. Let me see if I can show you some of this.
Cool. Thank you.
So if we go to the team page for this example, there are all these different employees and they have their own mailboxes. Let's say you go to office.com, signed in. I apologize. Cool. And then we will show you, great. So like for these users, right, actual accounts and mailboxes exist for these users. And we'll show you how to do things like clone login portals. So one recommendation that I make in cloning login portals is this browser extension called Single File. If you saw, we just did it in a literal second. We just compiled all of that into one web page. And so we have that exact clone now. And then we show you how to build GoFish infrastructure and how to integrate this into GoFish itself. This isn't an actual page that's working just because it would be your landing page. That's one example.
Single file is very cool. I today's video just over on the YouTube channel for me was like, exploring and looking and hunting down phishing kits. Like we used like URL Scan Pro and then trying to find stuff that would stupid, simple, exfiltrate out to like a Discord or a Telegram bot. But it's always, just an HTML file.
Yep.
It just spun up on GitHub pages, on Vercel in an S3 bucket or whatever way to get it public on the internet. But just exactly as you showed, hey, taking what we're so used to as a login form and then just bundling it up so it's easy to get out and about for a lure. So
exactly. Yes. So the course runs through all of that, cloning login portals, creating GoFish infrastructure, and then building out campaigns within that. I can show you an example of this is like a example GoFish server
awesome.
that I had created for this morning. Unfortunately, I Amazon came after me very quickly. So I can't actually send anything. But just as an example, like this is how you would integrate users. If you're not familiar with the GoFish UI, um, you can create a new group. You could pull, well, within the course itself, we actually instruct you on how to pull users from, crawl and scrape them from different domains, from sources like LinkedIn or third-party aggregators like Rocketbook or Dhash, which is a great resource for like third-party breach data. And then we show you how to build different phishing campaigns. So we're using things like Evil Jinx to, I don't know how to explain this at like a lower level.
Yeah, the reverse proxy magic tricks of Evil Jinx are very cool, but it is totally like, oh wow, it just does it. It just works.
Yes, and then configuring device code campaigns. If you're not familiar with that, we could walk through that right now as well, just using Graph Runner.
That would be super cool if you're willing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
I love Graph Runner. Can you fill in the gaps? Can you tell me a little bit about, hey, what is it? What your explanation?
Yeah, so Graph Runner is just a tool to interact with Microsoft's Graph API, which you're actually interacting with literally constantly if you use Microsoft. So anytime that you like open Outlook or you message someone on Teams, you yourself are using the Graph API. It's just hidden behind this wonderful GUI that Microsoft has created for us. And we're kind of just cutting out the middleman here, right? We can make direct Graph queries to interact with different things. And then we can use this has a great tool for device code, getting device code authentication tokens, which basically, if you've ever tried to log in on like a Nintendo Switch or through some third party, like physical tool, like a PlayStation or something, and it's very difficult to kind of type out keys. Device code authentication simplifies that, and it allows you to just use an actual code for authentication, which I can just show you right now. And actually, when this tool was dropped, I was sitting behind you, John.
Was it Wild West Hacking Fester?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was sitting at the table behind you, and I was watching you Slack everyone on your team,
Just like,
like,
it's so cool.
frantically. Yes, and, like, I had the same feeling, just total game changer, especially with phishing. So this is the Graph Runner, GitHub. You can literally just plug them into PowerShell, and then you can do a get graph tokens. So
Would you
this
be
would be
willing to amp up text size? I don't know if you can, if that's easy peasy. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, thank
nice.
you.
So imagine this is from the attacker side, right? And I will say, like, one limitation of device code authentication is that it expires within 15 minutes. So
Mm.
phishing can be kind of difficult with that, although it does work for me all the time, especially if you send an email and then you follow it up with a phone call within the 15-minute time frame and say, hey, I sent you this and this needs to happen very quickly. But yeah, and so you can just, this is our URL. The great thing about device code phishing is that you're using Microsoft's legitimate OAuth authentication, right? So you're visiting the actual Microsoft URL, which I'll showcase here. We have a code. And it just says, this is actually like a pretty new thing. I think I noticed it like a month or two
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
Enter a code to allow access. And so imagine that we are on the end of a victim, and I'll pull up a demo invitation, like an email that I actually created for this. Here's a good example of an email that I would send for device code authentication. I would probably actually I use legitimate emails, so like the actual Microsoft Teams invitations and stuff like this. But here's an email that I created, SafeNet Robotics
And I'm
invitation.
gonna keep being annoying. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can zoom
Yeah,
or make text bigger. Sorry, that's the job.
cool. So here's an example of an email that an attacker would send to an end user. They would receive this, click on the button, and it would lead to the legitimate Microsoft URL, right?
Mm.
Because this is actually Microsoft's authentication, and they would take the code within the email, plug it in, authenticate. I actually need to authenticate as this user.
Yeah. There have been really cool conversations that we've been kind of having, wondering, oh, how often does the device code phish or its equivalent lead to like account takeover, session hijacking, etc. I think we always tend to obviously, of course, see and like there's so much usage for this in the Microsoft 365 or Entra playground, but we always start to wonder like, how well does this happen for a Google Workspace or any other sort of identity carrying spots. For my day job, at the very least, that's been a fun thing that we get to play with because we see this trade craft all the time. Um, so I just hope that adds to the realism that this is the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's tons of things like this, right? People are think, I talk to companies that haven't seen this before and they're like, oh, this is novel. And it's like, no, it really isn't. This has been happening for a while. And a lot of things like this are happening, right? Like third party applications being registered and being forwarded to users to allow them. Like just lots of like internal abuse of Microsoft or whatever, if you're using Google Workspace, their functionalities.
Now this ends up giving you a token variable already filled out, right? So
Yep, and yeah, so now you have full access to the Graph API for that user. So you can do things like query Teams messages, query Outlook, query SharePoint is kind of like the most beneficial that I see. And then you can also send emails, right? So traditionally, like help at whatever the company's domain is will send you to internal IT. So just say, help, I can't connect to the VPN. Please help right now. Call me at whatever your phone number is.
cool.
Yeah. So throughout the course, we show users all sorts of fun phishing campaigns like that. I think the funnest part is really that there's just so many labs. There's like real world labs, websites, fake companies built out for users to kind of explore and actually work through, as well as, of course, setting up infrastructure because that can be the toughest part, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I know we wanted to strike a balance of, hey, we want to give the students an environment, like we'll give them some labs, some virtual machines, some things to work and interact with. But then there is also like I want the students to, hey, learn and go through the process of setting some things up. We've set up a couple things to make your life easier, but it's also a really important educational experience to just do this thing. So I'm glad
Yes,
we got the balance.
absolutely.
That is very cool, and thank you. I'm really glad that we got to see. I mean, I think those are the big ones. Do you use Go Fish quite frequently for your own work? Um, is there oftentimes other sort of management capabilities or things that you end up using, or is Go Fish just also the one?
Yeah, most of the time I love Go Fish and eat
Cool.
Evil Jinx. Those are my go-tos.
Great to hear it. I love seeing Evil Jinx up in action. Obviously, of course, the device code fish is a big one. Questions for you that have come through the chat, which I think is, I hope, cool. And if you're willing to entertain a couple of these, do you end up rolling a whole lot of different sock puppet accounts, like for yourself to be able to do the pretense, the lure, etc.? How do you keep track of all, if you have multiple, these different sort of like fake identities? They in the message in the chat, they were saying, I've seen people use like a whole CRM or some old database that just so they can maintain all these different personas that they've got to work with.
Yeah, I think when you're really probably in any niche of infosec, note taking is probably like one of the most foundational and important things that you could do. And so that's what I do. I actually don't know a single person that doesn't do something like that. Like just have an entire note taking database where they store all of their knowledge and information and things that they're working on to keep track of things like that.
Cool. Do
I
you
use
write
Notion.
off of okay, yeah, Notion. Yeah, Notion, of
People
course.
are people are very serious about what note-taking application they use.
That's
Obsidian is the other like really big one, I think. I just love Notion.
I am right there with you. I use both Obsidian and Notion. So I concur. Do you write off of any password manager? Like can you say whatever Bitwarden, whatever one password, whatever blah 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 that you can just shuffle or shove in all the accounts that you're going to be working with, and then easy access for those as you operate and interact as that sock puppet account. Yeah.
Yeah, I have tons of KeyPass. I don't know if you actually saw me pull up the KeyPass for the demo today, but yeah, I have tons of them.
Cool. I love to hear it. I'm glad that workflow. I'm glad that methodology, and I think everyone maybe tuning in will nod and agree right the same. Have you have you had any of the AI Kool-Aid? Yes, no, good, bad, or ugly. Does AI help put together these phishing pretends, making these pages? Are there prompts that you use, or is that nah, whatever, meh? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably like the best AI tool that I've run across is Lovable. I don't know if you've used
Yeah.
Lovable yet. I love Lovable. It's so lovable. No, that's great for like web content generation. Um, that is probably the biggest one that I use is Lovable just for like create building out domains and websites. And of course, like AI is also great before yeah,
Sorry.
Lovable sponsor.
No, no,
No, I'm kidding. Like I hope they do. That would be awesome.
they're good.
Give me pro for free. Um,
Lovable.dev, though, if folks wanted to, if they weren't tracking, hadn't heard of it before, it'll just spit out a whole web app and website for you. It's so cool. So,
Yeah, it is great. The only thing I will say is that it's very much like a LLM for developers by developers. So if you're not used to like TypeScript or like building these like kind of developer centered web pages,
yeah.
just be prepared for that.
Yeah, it's very, very front end love, right? Like, hey, TypeScript, whatever X new JavaScript NPM node package extravaganza, it's all in there. So,
Yes, that's the biggest one, but I remember before LLMs existed, there was this site that you could go to and, like, regenerate a false identity, and
mm,
I would just go there and rotate, rotate, rotate to try to get a believable name, right, for different engagements. Otherwise, I always end up with, like, Joy. I always make my first name Joy before I had anything like that, but it's predictable, and sometimes it sounds weird, and so you can do all sorts of things with, just these like generative AI tools.
let's see. I'm scrolling through a couple other questions. And even if there were any, I don't know if it's used for it's using AI or anything that you end up doing with even simple chat GPT or prompts that you enter to permutate potential phishing emails. There were a couple of those neat ideas kind of flying around in the chat. Um, odd thought, and I think someone maybe noticed the burp suite icon while you had your desktop up. They're thinking, look, no one ever really talks about some of these credential stuffing attacks like Open Bullet or using burp suite to do the same. Do you end up particularly doing that much for now using or validating some of the access in mass, or is that less of the phishing direction that you're usually in?
Definitely less of what I'm centered around. Most of the like social engineering and phishing that I do is centered around like actually gaining access somewhere, right? So
Mhm.
um, most of the time, when I'm doing it professionally, at least, I'm either calling or emailing people, getting credentials through there, getting access through there, and then just using that to pivot. Um, and it's really not that hard, honestly. Like as sad as it is to say, um, at least professionally, we don't need to do that much.
Can you help me establish that idea for the YouTube audience? Because I've done, so many cheesy demos and videos and things that are like, hey, take a look at this cool lure, this trick, this social engineering. Like, people will fall for this, people have fallen for this, and that is something that is worth knowing and being educated and aware of. But I always get the YouTube comment haters that say, "Oh, it's just another social engineering thing. Oh, you're not doing any lead exploits, hacking 0 days, any server side vulnerabilities." I'm like, "No, you don't need that."
Yeah. Yeah. No, John, you're completely right. And also, they're kind of completely right, right? It's not some
Totally.
elite. We're not dropping 0 days to build a phishing campaign because why would we? If we email 100 people and we get access to one account, that's all we needed. We didn't
That's
need
it.
10 people to submit credentials or give us access to their account. We just needed one person. So yeah, it's not. But also the complications between those two are very obvious as well. Like people that are dropping 0 days sometimes don't have the capability to build out great social engineering campaigns because that's kind of a harder topic for them to approach. And so I think there is a great balance there between the super technical side and the kind of less technical side through social engineering.
This is kind of a cool question. I think that plays along with it, if that's okay. Because I would think, and I know for a lot of the phishing work and the social engineering campaigns, it takes a lot of prep work, like to be able to, hey, make this thing convincing and as realistic. So someone was asking, do you try to work with like pre-registered fake domain names, like domains, internet presence for a specific campaign? And then how do you make sure that that newly registered domain will still kind of pass any automatic filters or anything that could flag it or warn it? Because you do and will be using it for some shady shenanigans. How do you make that purposeful and strong?
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically an entire module, if not half of a module in the course. Is just
Sweet.
giving you the resources to do things like that. So like buying old domains and checking old domains and making sure that they're not already contaminated.
I do you remember? Okay, sorry, this is a rabbit hole. This is a tangent. This is just John being John. But when there was the .zip domains, like that Google had released as the top level
the
domain.
3 days. The 3 days,
Yeah.
right? That .zip domains existed.
Did they get taken out? Did they get removed out of rotation? They're no longer, or
I actually don't
might have been.
know. I'm pretty sure that
So
they announced like a week afterwards, like, okay, we're not gonna sell them
yeah,
anymore.
we take it back. We recall. We I had bought a boatload of them just as a stupid, fun one off, but I got 0.zip so I could make like infinite subdomains of like Candy Crush .4.2.0.zip or whatever stupid thing, but it's a domain. Um, but I know without a doubt, okay, those are going to be eyed on and under the magnifying glass, under the microscope, like, oh, when are you going to be doing something sketchy with domains like those?
Yeah, absolutely. TLDs are kind of a big thing, and that, of course, is talked about in the course. Using a TLD like .xyz is probably never going to get clicks unless um, I actually
Unless you
genuinely
hide
can't think
it.
of a use case where it would. But we see that constantly, right? Like we talked about Notion earlier, and a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
companies will block Notion because it has a Somalian TLD. So definitely, yeah, .com is still the standard in terms of the internet.
I am a huge fanboy of the living off trusted sites resource. Have you seen that one? I'm sure. Lots project.
No.
So this is Mr. Docs. I'll try and pull it up, but I try to squeeze it in whenever I can. I think it's pretty good and valuable. Lots project.com. So it's like living off trusted sites, knowing that what are these usual different online services or SaaS utilities that are usually hosting content or material just naturally, like legitimately for their own usage and use case. So of course you got AWS, S3, Blob, Windows domains, etc., Box.com, Bitbucket, GitHub, blah, blah, blah. But when you get to see
Yeah.
those used in the context of, oh, how often is that done for phishing? Um, there's some insight there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen this list. It's very cool, but obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
people use these constantly. Azure websites is like a big one that people use, both internally and for phishing campaigns. And yeah, these are great.
Yeah, big list. And I always try to, whenever I remember it, I want to make sure to squeeze it into the conversation because I hope that's a cool resource for a lot of folks. Good to have one centralized long list. Cool. Another question for you, if that's okay. And I don't know how much you can run with this one if you can, but would you happen to have any stories, any sweet from the trenches, anything that's okay to share, or if you can say no, let me know.
Yeah, just in terms of phishing or social engineering as a whole, or
All of the above, whichever one gets you closer to a, oh yeah, I can talk about that. If
in
there
terms
are any.
of oh yeah, for sure. In terms of probably physical pen testing, I will sometimes wear a pregnancy belly when I go do physical
Ooh.
assessments, because who doesn't want to help a pregnant woman, right? I know 9 out of 10 times if a pregnant woman is trying to get into my office, she has her hands full with coffee for other people. I'm going to run ahead and try to badge in and open the door for her. So that's kind of a typical thing that I do. I have somehow just gotten a lot of followers on Twitter just over time being involved in the community. And one time I was going to do this big physical assessment and I posted a picture of my stomach with a pregnancy belly on. And probably within an hour, my boss starts messaging me and he's like, "Hey, the company follows you on Twitter and they saw your tweets. You need to completely can that. Like everyone knows what's happening." So that's kind of one funny physical story. Luckily, I've never been held at gunpoint. I know plenty of people that have, unfortunately.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
it gets
mostly
very
safe for me.
real when you're in person and on site, right? Like that raises the stakes.
It does raise the stakes, yeah, but I do think that you almost have an advantage as a woman in that people tend to be softer and kinder and more accepting of your faults, um, rather than a man. But on the same hand, I also couldn't pretend to be an elevator technician because if I walked in work overalls saying, "Hey, I'm here to inspect your elevator," they would say, "Get out of here."
Right, right. Dynamics, I suppose. That's cool. I the Twitter fail sounds hysterical and makes complete sense. I feel like I would probably make the same mistake, just being excited about, oh, I get to wear some stupid some fun costume.
Yes. Oh, someone actually just put in the comments, if you want to call it early, get caught at a bank. I actually did get caught at a bank once. This is like my one big kind of failure on a physical pen test was I had gotten into a bank's data center and it was a long work in progress. But I had gotten into the data center and I had one employee that was helping me on site. And just as we had walked out of the data center and we're kind of walking towards the exit, two other employees came up to us and said, they just started swearing and screaming because obviously extremely secure center and they had no idea who I was. We're like, who is this person? Why do you have them here? And bless the employee that was helping me, he was like, "Oh, don't worry. This is not a breach. I was pretending to be an auditor." I was like, "This is an auditor with like KPMG or whoever I was pretending to be." And in that moment, I was like, "Hey, I finished my audit. I hope that you all have a great day. I'm just going to head out of here." And I literally
Jeez.
drove from there to the airport. And as I'm driving to the airport, their CISO calls me. He's like, "Please tell me that was you." They had like called the police and started breach protocol. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, I am glad, things for it to be taken seriously, in every direction, at every angle. That's good. So, super cool. Couple questions here in the chat. Some were wondering a little bit more back to the device code fish, and I'm not sure if this is one that you have a lot that you'd like to bring in, but they're wondering, oh, for those time-based cookie check devices or for things for, oh, detecting the account takeover, the session hijacking with the device code fish. They're like, oh, what about the IP address, the geolocation, the device, user agent things, all those things that would help, oh, identify something has gone amok in a regular login. Do you play in that pool all that much? I don't know if detecting it is part of all that you do, but
I'm not on the detection side, and I don't know specifically what the question was, but I will recommend a couple of really good resources. Actually, if you go to the B
oh,
Sides Nashville 2024 talks, or if you just Google Husky Hacks B Sides Nashville
yeah.
2024, he actually, yeah, he's awesome. And you work together, right?
Yeah, he works at Huntress with me, and he helps put together capture the flag challenges. He's been part of the team for a bit. He's a swell guy. Love Matt.
Yeah, he did a talk on detecting in 2024 at B-Sides Nashville, and I know that he has the slides posted up on his GitHub, and so you can actually see. I think that's super beneficial because you can actually like look at the logs and his commentary and stuff like that.
I will let him know that he got some love during the live stream today. Here's that, sharing just the link here in chat for folks that wanted to catch Husky Hack's Identity Crisis was the name of that talk. But big into the device code fish and a fun problem that we tend to chase for day job. Cool. Corey, can I ask, hey, how has the process been for putting together a course or the course? So have you done training like this before? Has things been smooth? Have things been easy? Have you been running around with other life things that get in the way? And I don't know, do you think you'd ever have an appetite for doing more?
Yeah, I would say yes to all of the above. A lot of things going on in life, right, as they are for everyone. Specifically, right now it's summer for me, so all of my kids are out of school. So I'm constantly in between like working and trying to accomplish side projects and telling my kids, please just open a different container of Play-Doh while I finish this. Um, but yeah, super interested. It's been great, honestly. The biggest concern for me is just making sure that people get as much as I could possibly give them, right? Like the technical nitty gritty, but also presented in a way that is easy to kind of digest and understand and covers people who are completely new to InfoSec to people who maybe have been in the industry for a while but haven't really run phishing prompts.
And thank you, seriously, genuinely, so much for that attention to detail, or like, hey, being so thorough to make this accessible and exciting and interesting for folks that may not be in the scene or with it just yet, or like, hey, as spun up as others might be. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for the folks that are in the thick of it, in the part of the industry and understanding like, hey, being able to spin up some of the machines, being able to put together the infrastructure, or being able to build out these different pretense things. I am just so stoked and so happy and just so thankful for you putting this whole thing together. And I love that we made it, it's a technical course for red teamers, for pen testers, for folks that are doing it, that want to do it, that should be doing it, and want to do it the right way. So thank you again and again.
Thank you, John.
Well, hey, I know we're getting to the last couple moments. Is there anything that you would love to, hey, I don't know, make a call to action, make any last words, any parting thoughts, pot shots? What's next?
No, I'm super grateful for this. I'm really excited. If you have taken my free UC that's out there in phishing, which is really kind of more beginner, entry level, kind of an overview of phishing and how offensive people see it, please give me feedback. I would love to see that. And then if you do take this course, feedback there as well. And also just a huge congratulations to Caitlin, John, because I wanted to shout her out on the stream because that was so cool. She just completed, what was it, an iron? Was it an
Yeah, she was at a super awesome CrossFit competition and was kicking ass and taking names. So she's a badass. But I've been having so much fun running around like the stupid Borat movie, like my wife, my wife. So fun, so good.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
awesome.
Thank you all so much, everybody. I hope this was a ton of fun. I hope you do get a chance to go take a look at Corey's upskill challenge phishing that's free, and then phishing the technical course coming out the start of next month. Remember, it is available for pre-sale, for pre-release if you'd like, and that'll put your name into a sweet raffle for a couple other good winnings. $1,000 in prize pool for the other courses like Mishal's OSINT bundle, hey, the dark web course, and constructing defense for all those sweet things. But thank you for just hacking training and seeing it all come to life. So anything more, Corey, or we can sign out?
I think that's it, John.